Welcome, one and all, to round number 4 of the DTR Esports League. Here at Delta T Racing, 18 drivers ready to battle out. No Mercedes here this evening. And, well, that's unfortunate for them. SLP team not running tonight, but nevertheless still 9 teams ready to battle out. And the first out onto the track is one of the QVR cars. And it looks like Packer first out onto the circuit on the medium compound tyres. We've got the tyres up for you straight away. A few guys seem to be opting for the medium compound tyres, but nevertheless, we'll dive into this evening. We've had 3 fantastic rounds so far at Saudi, at Bahrain and Australia. And now we're here in Imola, one of the great circuits, one of the true sort of historic circuits that still sort of operates under that classic vibe, if you like, being an old school style circuit. So we're looking forward to this. And of course, the sprint race is here. We're going to have sprint quali format, if you like. So we're going to have an 18-minute qualifying session as per normal for you right now. Then we're going to go into a 5-minute sprint race, if you like, which will determine the race, which determines the grid, for the main race a little bit later on. So 2 races this evening. 5 laps are going to be very chaotic, especially I imagine when the DRS kicks into gear. It's quite a powerful DRS zone here at Imola, just because I think you run such high downforce, and it is a long straight all the way down towards turn number 1. We'll talk about the championship briefly. You've got Packer just coming around the final corner, and as you open up his lap, going to get the maximum attack he can. And we're going to go on board with the AlphaTauri driver, heading down towards turn number 1. REL and XL, the teams at the top of the championship at the moment, as Packer spots his braking point on the right side, using all the curb on entry and in the mid part, and gets through there very nice indeed, even on those medium compound tyres. Heading down towards the second chicane, he's going to throw the car in at 7th gear. Keeps it in 7th gear, then downshifts into 5th, running a bit higher than I think, I would personally, keeping, making sure he didn't spin out and using those slightly lower revs while using higher gears. Heading out up the hill now. End of the first sector is done. Come to the top of the hill. Very easy place to invalidate, but he keeps well within track limits on the exit. Down towards Aqua Minerale, my favourite corner, probably on the F1 games, completely flat through the first part. Do we brake in the second part? And a very difficult uphill traction zone to contend with. And then it's the super aggressive chicane of, see how the cars take this, get airborne. He goes right over the first part, invalidates though. Unfortunately, it does. Packer. And the car behind is the one of the McLarens. Is it Felix? It is, who's gone purple so far, getting a bit wayward on the exit. One of the cars has retired, unfortunately, and that's one of the Red Bulls. Just coming out of Aqua Minerale, literally just where we were, a few car lengths behind. Final two corners to negotiate, running towards the line for the first time of the day from NLR. Felix is going to be on at 14.2, and that's a pretty mega lap time from Felix. That's probably what my PB is. I mean, that's a brilliant lap straight out of the box, it must be said. Only one DRR driver left in this one. We'll see how the other one gets on, or we're not going to see how Sneaky gets on. So I think I've just clicked the button there, but DRA Ezra around the final corner. That's a very aggressive line before he's diving into pit lane then. Comes across the lines, 14.3, another fantastic lap times of the times. Already coming in thick and fast. It's an invalidation for Pyro. But Ruta, again, we'll try and go back to that championship battle. It's REL versus XL. It's the Alpine versus the Ferrari at the top, but QVR and the AlphaTauris are not too far behind. So all 3 of the main championship protagonists are still are here, and they're ready. They're going at it, and they're going at it hard, straight out of the box. I think it's going to be really interesting. They definitely could have a mixed-up championship, and that is the first 13.9 of the evening, and our current championship leaders straight to the front. No mucking about there at all from them. And, fantastic time. The Haas of EVG Djili straight into P2 as well, just shy of the 1:13 club. Pretty good so far. And Trocker debuting for the DTR Esports team into P5. Very respectable lap time there from him. But how's XL Bree getting on 2 more corners to negotiate? Gear doesn't run too wide. He's going to go keep it in 4th for the exit. And now the run towards the line. Where can he put that Ferrari? Can he get anywhere near Ruta's time? Unfortunately, not on this occasion. He goes P6 with that one. Teammate on an out lap. You've got Jarno invalidating his time, unfortunately. Quite easy to do on this lap. There's a few points. Ariel Mark invalidated again, so not going too well for him. Mama comes across the line on the medium tyres. He goes into P8 with that one, but surely find a little bit more time on the softs. CPI. Wagner invalidating, unfortunately for him. We've got a car. I think we've just had BNLRE Lars going to P2 and P3. A very good lap time from him. Who's on a lap time? Router's going to dive into pit lane. What a pacey in-lap, I think it must be said. So we try and follow somebody for a whole lap if we can. Who can we try and follow? Rocco, Packer. Let's follow Packer for a lap around Imola. Really talk for it. And so good exit out of the final corner. I'm running towards the line. I'm really opening up the start. Got an aggressive line, trying to minimise the distance of the circuit. Heading towards down to the Tamburello chicane. Under the Made in Italy side. Shortest run available, and get to the right hand side as best you can. Really open up the corner, all over the curbs. Throw the car in, basically try and avoid the yellow sausage curves, but use as much up to them as you can. That was a very, very good run through the first couple of corners for him. Down towards the Villeneuve chicane. Throws the car in again. It's sort of got very difficult to frame because you want to open up the second part so much, and heading towards Tosa, which comes at you very quickly. You can really run wide on the exit and uses all the curb available to him. Getting on the power nice and early up the hill towards Piratella. Well, Lando Norris lost his lap time by millimetres, costing him something. It was P2 in last year's race at Imola. Down towards that Army go, flat for the first part, and then down into fourth gear for the second part. The opportunities at high gear, ice fourth gear as well, actually. Gets a much better run up the hill, and you can really stamp the throttle down. Heading towards the Variance Alta chicane, really got all over the curbs there, and on the exit just sort of almost had a bit of a shimmy coming off there. That's Erpic getting out of the way for us very nicely. What a Red Bull on the inside. Now just the Ravazza to go Ravazza 1 and 2. All of the curve on the exit, fourth gear, and running towards the line. It is going to be a time of 1 minute 14.3. Very good lap time. Puts me into P7, and it's once again. We had it last week. We had it the week before. It's so close. From P2 down to P7, that's less than 2 tenths. I mean, it's barely stepping. The other QVR driver, Sneaky, goes into P10. That last time at Epic, we saw him get out of the way very nicely for Packer. Will Packer return the favour? I'm sure he will if we manage to catch up to him. 8th gear managed to get the car into 8th, down into 4th, and actually quite nicely, using a bit of curb there. Purple in the first sector, according to the minimap. For Epic, really good exit up the hill. He's in a bit of a helping hand of tow. We're going to have the Alpine on the left-hand side getting away. We're going to try and follow Router's lap. Where is he? He's just about to start it as he's heading towards Ravazza right now, the final 2 corners. Flat through the first part, of course, and then really stamps on the throttle. Using 4th gear as well. And again, you can really get to full throttle quite early coming out of Ravazza. And Purple once more uses the curb actually really nicely. Actually, that was a really good run through Variance Alta. Down towards the final 2 corners, still benefiting from a little bit of a slipstream. Evening, Jordan. Good to see some familiar faces in the chat, as well as people supporting different leagues and whatnot. But around the final we go from Epic. He's going to run towards the line, and it's going to be a 1 minute 13.7. That's a fantastic lap. It just looks so hooked up, and almost just so clean as well. And really good to see that. We'll see how Router's going to do. He was up in the first sector, but yeah, Epic, fantastic lap. His first appearance in the Esports League so far. And we'll see, Router very nicely negotiating Piratella, and then again 4th gear. That's run a little bit wide and hit the curb and just drifted the car out wide for him. He's actually backed out of that one, so not too happy. Felix P3 at the moment, 1,000th ahead of Degili, just behind. His first sector time is 8 tenths down. He's coming to the pit lane, I imagine, at the end of this lap. Truck around and out lap, so is XL Brie. Black Mamba, though, pushing a little bit further back. Currently in P12, his first lap on the soft compound tyres. But yeah, like I was saying for Epic's lap, it's just, if he really did carry the speed through, but he was so accurate with how he did it. That we saw for the difficult chicane variant Alta, he was just able to hit it so perfectly and hit that first part, carried the speed through the first part, but hit the curb right so that the second part was set up and he got a really good exit out of it. It's so difficult to do, and we saw how the Variance Alta really got on the throttle nice and early. But I'm using the same sort of tactic with 4th gear. We'll see how much time he's found. Half a second up at the moment. Here we're going to try and get into the 1 minute 14s and maybe try and trouble the top 10 as well. Heading down the hill now towards Ravazza. Gets the car in nicely, and now running out of the final corner. Up the gears, DRS wide open. As we go on minute 14.7, goes P10. Just behind his teammates, 9th and 10th for the DTR team. Make that 10th and 11th, because just behind Laskar of Stinos has gone into P6. Very good lap time from him. As Ruta pushing again, he's done another lap time. I think he's going to run out of ERS. Might dive into the pits. No, yes, he is diving into the pits. Gilly, after his very good time, he's also gone to P2. It's very good luck from him. Unfortunately, we missed that one. Trucker finding loads of time. 3/10 of a second up for DTR in the Aston Martin. Across the line to 14.1. That's a fantastic lap from him. Making his debut in the Esports League. Debut for DTR Esports team as well. P6 on the board. Fantastic stuff. Who just started a lap time? We wanted to try and see who that was. I think it might have been Pyro, just starting his lap. 1 minute 24 on the board for him at the moment. Not quite representative of what we would expect from anybody, let alone him. 4 seconds up in the first sector. That's a little bit more like it from the Alfa Romeo driver as he comes up the hill towards Piratella. Can he keep it with this one within track limits? He's going to throw the car in, and I think he's just about going to. Very comfortable within track limits. Few flags, the driver just getting out of the way in the middle sector, but nothing for us to worry about following at the Alfa Romeo. Really good use of exit curbs there. Managed to get a good drive up the hill. That's also a really important exit because it is uphill. Go through the chicane now, relatively respectable on the entry curve. Didn't hit it too hard, as we've seen some of the guys do already this evening. But then he sort of avoided hitting the next part, so he got a nice sort of, he hooked himself round it, which I think might have cost him a little bit of time, but nevertheless still looked pretty good from our angle. A little bit wiggly on the exit, but DRS wide open and the run towards the line. So we won it 14.1. That's a fantastic lap from Pyro, just ahead of Trocker there by 4 thousandths of a second. I've been keeping a watchful eye because I want to watch Erpig out again. It was a fantastic lap. The first time I watched pretty much all of it. We're going to see, can he improve a little bit more? Like four drivers in the 13s now, but all the way on the right hand side. Gets the car down into 4th gear, hits the curb nicely, and just somehow rides it perfectly. I'd love to know the setup of this, because he got it on absolute rails through the first couple of corners. Into the Villeneuve chicane, reopens it up, carries the speed through the first part, and then deals with the braking in the second part. Heading down to keeping nice and tight to the corner, into the apex curb there, avoiding the low sausage curbs. About half a tenth up now as he climbs up the hill. Nice clean exit once again towards Piratella. He's going to throw the car in. What's he going to drop it down to? Drop it down to 5th. Really power out of the corner and get a nice line to open up for Akram and Raleigh. Flat through and then braking almost in a straight line as he then flicks the car in, rides up the hill. And what is the delta going to look like now? We are almost 2/10 of a second up. Oh, he really, the back end complaining so much there. And just about keeps him in track limits as he gets the power down. As he threw the car into the chicane and the back end just wanted to slide, but he somehow held on to it. What, 2 more corners to go? It's Zarata 1 and 2. Sees the house on the outside of the corner, gets on the power nice and early, short shifting up into 5th to try and find a little bit more speed. DRS wide open. It's going to be 1 minute 13.5. I mean, that is an absolute monster lap around Imola. 3/10 clear at the front, and Erpig, well, introducing himself to the Esports League. Mark in the Alpine, of course, racing for Ariel, the current championship leaders. 1 more corner to negotiate. He's negotiated it well, but he dives into the pit lane. This lap not for him. Ezra as well dives into, well no, he's taken that really aggressive line, and he's just about to start, I think, a new flying lap. So we'll follow him for this one. Just 2 cars out on, oh sorry, I've missed a few. Got a few cars out on track at the moment. Felix on an out lap, Mamba on an out lap, and I think Erpig on an in lap. And apart from that, we're going to follow the Red Bull. Only driver on a flying lap at the moment. Heading down towards the Villeneuve chicane, throws the car in once more. Little bit on the yellow sausage curves, but keeping got away with it pretty well. NRL, well, yeah, big support from NRL Sparks, must be said. But yeah, NRL currently 6th in the championship, looking, well, as things stand, for a pretty mighty evening. With Erpig that clear, but of course he's got a sprint race and the full race to negotiate before we can start dishing out any points. Ezra, good exit, been a clean lap from the Red Bull driver, 3/10 up, and at the moment that would put him quite a way up the order. That was really good through the chicane, really hit the second part quite aggressively, carried the speed through, can help with your exit, opens up the exit a little bit more as well. Down towards Ravazza 1 and 2. Keeping within track limits, been open. Oh, that was mightily close to the exit of the white line. Does it once more, but again carries the speed through. Takes this sort of, I'm going to call it the esports line on the run towards the line. He just a little bit of time. It does go P7, just a little bit behind Mark. Felix on his flying lap now, heading towards the Villeneuve chicane. doesn't opt for 8th gear. Sort of maybe did it slowed the car down a little bit on the first part, which helped him open up the second part. A little bit down on his time, but still to get into the 23s for that first sector. It is pretty mighty. Can he match his teammate? I don't think he will, because I mean that lap seems pretty unmatchable out front. But nevertheless, McLaren driver really carrying the speed there. Really carrying the speed through Piratella down towards Ackerman and Raleigh, and there we are now. Oh, bit of a snap there from Felix. Gone on board now as he hit the chicane. See how he does it, not taking as much curb, but actually sort of similar to his teammate, but maybe just holding a little bit in reserve, just because, I mean, God knows how Erpic managed to hold the car together through that chicane. He's going to get a bit of a helping hand with a slipstream in front. Nicely through the first part of Ravazza, throws the car in the second part, and it sticks. We're going to get DRS opening now and running across the line. It's going to be 1 minute 13.8, and that is NRL in first and fourth at the moment with 1 minute 47 left in this session. Ruta, what can he do to respond? The car seemed a little bit on edge there as he came sort of out of the Tamburello chicane. Really trying to carry some speed. Got to throw the car in and hope it sticks. And again, someone who seemed to sort of get the car slowed down a little bit to get a tighter line before he then sort of dealt with the braking zone of the second part. But just under a 10th up. I think that somebody locking up just in front did put him off a little bit as he ran a little bit wide through Tosum, a little bit wide. He wanted the car, just felt the car had to wait a little bit as well. Also Piratella, but still carrying fantastic speed. Through Ackerman and Raleigh we go. The car seems on edge, getting nice and wide, and a little bit too wide because he unfortunately invalidated. Packer P6 at the moment, leading the fight for the QVR drivers. Sneaky down in T16 as things stand. Giannis yet to set a lap time, but he is on a lap at the moment. And see what he can do. And up the hill now we go. Sorry, yeah, this is team versus team. So each racing team, so everyone's, you know, Alpine, Mercedes, McLaren, all that, they're all teams individually. So, oh, and Felix is out. Where is that? It's in the pit lane, so nothing to worry about. Packer though up on his time. That's a nice line through the chicane. Can he get within track limits? He can. Exit may have been compromised just by carrying a bit too much speed through the part, but 2 more corners goes. Yeah, so QVR, for example, are under the AlphaTauri. So racing for the AlphaTauri. Around the final corner we go, and of course you get points for your team. So whenever I talk about the championship, it's all about the teams here. And goes across the line. It's 1 minute 13.8. Great lap from Packer to go P4. Fantastic stuff from him. Ruta though, 11 thousandths of a second up as he heads into Aquamarine. Once more Erpic, I think it's just a little bit behind. We'll see how he's getting on his final flying up. I'd love to have a look at him. I mean, he's just mega. With Gilly as well, has gone P2 in the Haas. BNLRE Lars just a 100th ahead of QVR Packer. What can Ruta do though? Needs to find a little bit of time. He's finding about a tenth of a second, a bit more than a tenth, 2/10 of a second. Ideally, can he find it? Keeps him in track limits. Had to sort of ensure he keeps him in track limits to 13.7. He goes P3. It's a fantastic lap from Ruta. What is Erpic doing though? Is he going even faster? He's not. I think he's backed off on this one. Mamba invalidated on this lap, unfortunately for him. Checker flag is Alnos. These are the final lap. Strucker, 2 more corners to go. Currently P13. I mean, 3/10 would put him up near the front. Oh, and he invalidates on the final corner. A bit of work to do for DTR. Mark into the pit lane. Stinios not setting a really competitive lap time. Lars has invalidated as well. I'm trying to see if anyone is on for anything meaningful. I don't think they are. So on my calculations, qualifying is done and dusted. The McLaren boys get ready to put NRL Erpic into the garage. He takes pole position by over 2/10 of a second. Great lap from EVG DJ Gilly. She's just waiting to get slid back into the box. Ruta P3 lap right at the death, puts him into third. And then Lars for BNLRE goes P4. Packer, Felix and Rocco are 5th, 6th and 7th. Stinios in the Haas is P8. Ezra P10. Pyro 12th, XLBRE 11th. Pyro 12th. Trucker 13th. Pretty good lap time for his first evening in the Esports League. Yano P14. Sneaky 15th. Mama 16th. And then Ragnar and Ian round off The field, but yeah, I mean, look, again, we said it last week, we said it the week before. Look at the field spread. I think it is oh, I've just lost the times now. But the field spread is absolutely ridiculous. How close everyone is. I mean, if you just make one mistake, you're going to lose at 10 positions easily. You know, the whole field is separated by a second, really a second in there. But if we ignore the top, Erpic, it's a mega lap, 2/10 of a second clear. If we ignore that time, you know, half a second covers the top second down to 13th. I mean, it's crazy stuff. And in there, you know, between we've got second down to 6th is a 10th and a half. Then you've got 7th down to 13th, 2/10. It's, you know, if you just hit that chicane right, if you hit it wrong, if you just maybe clip one of the curves in one of the chicanes, you're going to lose quite a few positions. So it's just credit to these guys for getting the laps in and giving us a super competitive grid. We've seen how competitive it's been the last sort of 2 weeks. I mean, I've been involved in every single week. I raced the first week, just missed out on points, fortunately, but there we go. But yeah, last 2 weeks, especially when I've been on commentary, it's just been so close. And in the racing as well, super hard, super fair. Of course, there's always an incident here or there, but nevertheless, it looks like we're going to have a dry sprint race. If you just joined us, maybe missed some of the first bits, we have got a sprint race format here. I think just like real life, I think in IRL, as they call it. In real life, we're going to have a sprint race at Imola. And I think, yeah, so we're trying to mimic the sort of the real life F1, if you like. And so yeah, 5-lap race coming up. You do get points for the 5-lap race. Do I remember how the points are dished out? No, I think it's 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, down to 1 for P8. So top 8 score points here off the top on my head. And we're racing straight away. The lights are out and away we go. It's Erpic leading the way. No mucking about here at all. The Haslots in the P2 of DJ Gilly. Ruta third, last, fourth. Can go down the inside. He's going to have a look for the move. Of course, 5 laps. Everyone going to be going for it. But it's Erpic from DJ Gilly, from Ruta, from Lars, from Packer, Felix in P6, Exo, Rocco. Dueling with the Haskar, and the Haskar is now under attack from Mark, and Mark go around the outside. He's going to get the inside for the next bar of the Villeneuve chicane, but he's going to push his rival a little bit wide, and still hanging in there is Stinios. He's going to try and have this inside line as they now climb up the hill. Bit of a tank slapper there for the Haas. Is now going to put him under pressure from Ezra. Ezra going to go around the outside here. Pyro from behind gets the best seat in the house for this. No one's battling Pyro. Down the inside goes Stinios. Ezra, though, can he carry the speed around the outside? He's then going to have the inside for Akram and Arali. And surely he's going to have the high ground. He backs out of it and actually sort of Airplay realises that 2 into 1 will not go, especially in Akram and Arali. But further up the order, we're still as we were. Erpic from Digitally. Of course, everybody on soft tyres. We're on soft tyres for the 5-lap dash. If you like, we'll get the position changes up straight away. Ian making up 5 places. Monster start from the back of the grid. And Erpic leading the way, controlling things out front. But we talked about it right at the start of the show, if you like. And Erpic said the fast lap of the race. But DRS so powerful here. So if you wanted to try and break that second as quickly as he can. Anyone looking for a move into turn number 1? I don't think so. Gaps are all nice and close, and actually to swap between the 2 DTR drivers. But further back, maybe a bit of team play there. Going on, of course, the grid decides the finishing order decides the grid for our feature race, if you like, the main race, 50% race, 32 laps around Imola, I believe, off the top of my head. And the first second gap has formed. Ruta under attack from Lars behind, just dropped outside of a second after Gilly in front. Something's interesting. We did a for pre-season DTR. Of course, the Esports League runs alongside the DTR Season 3. I remember doing a pre-season around Portimao. We did a sprint race just to sort of try it out, see how the guys liked it, and I thought it was very successful. But what I noticed was, because it's 5 laps, you're going to push the ERS. You're going to really give it full beans, if you like. And I just waited until almost the last lap, saw that my rival, his red light was flashing, so he was harvesting energy, and there's been an incident. What's happened further back? Ian spinning, facing the wrong way. He's going to get going once again, but he's undone all that work. Fortunately for him, breaking the slipstream already is Erpic. And we're going to go on board with Digili, heading it down towards turn at number 1. Of course, no DRS just yet, but DRS is now enabled, so they will get it on the next time around. And still just behind his McLaren rival there, as they throw those cars into the first couple of corners. Of course, no heavy braking zones, if you like, at the end of a long straight. We do have Tosa, of course, coming up, that sort of hairpin, but sort of the straight not long enough to really have a go. But nevertheless, as the McLaren heads way through, currently the guys at the top 7 still as they were, as Wagner makes a move on Black Mamba. That looked like it was coming out of the Villeneuve chicane. But Erpig's still holding on. Where was I? I was saying something, I completely lost my train of thought. Oh, big snap. Big snap for Erpig. That's going to put De Gilly right onto the back of him. Will he be looking for a move maybe around the outside? And he's gone for the move. He has got the position power, getting 3 seconds. We were talking about ERS, that was it. Yeah, waited for my rival to sort of, I could see he was harvesting, I could see he was low, and then I went full beans and attacked. And the move was made a little bit easier by that. But Erpig losing position, though. He will get DRS on this next straight, heading down towards turn number 1. Can he get the move back? Can he get the position back? Can he get the move done? DRS wide open now for the McLaren driver, and he's been gaining. He's been gaining. Which side is he going to go for? He looks like he's going to go for the inside line, and didn't fight that one too hard. Felt like a bit of a sitting duck, and just behind that sort of a carbon copy, if you like, as BNLRE Lars moves himself into P3. Ruta drops down to P4, and a few people. Looks like both, one Alpine gained, one Alpine lost, and that's Pyro out of the race. What's happened there? Looks like an unfortunate victim of the Tamara chicane, and there he is in the wall. Nevertheless, we haven't got time to talk about any retirements here. Someone, Brent pointing out that tactical spin, if you like. I've got to say, though, coming out of Alco Morale, there are no tactical spins. Sort of, you can't sort of fake that, if you like. As he gets it all sorted this time around, you don't want to risk a moment there. I can say that for certain. Could we get a bit of DRS play? We've seen how powerful it is already in this race. Will he give the DRS up? We know when the detection point is at the end of this little stroke, literally at the next corner, at the first part of Ravazza. We're going to go on board once again with the Haas driver. He's going to have DRS. This will be the start of the final lap of the race, the final lap to make a move. It's a fantastic exit from Erpig. 6/10 is the gap. It was 6:01 at the highest point of asking. And we're gaining on the McLaren driver. Will we have enough for it? We've got no ERS, though. That's the problem. You look down at the steering wheel, 1%, 2%. He's not going to quite get close enough. Ruta, a little bit further back from his rival. Trocker. More spinning. It's a Haas. So apologies. Yeah, Trocker up to P10 now, making a few positions after a poor start for him. He's up 3, fantastic driving from the debutante. Exo Rocco up 1 place from Felix, so a change in the top 7 for once, and that's Felix losing the rear, just about keeps it sort of properly out of the wall. Trocker's going to be really closing up on him, just like getting on the power a little bit too eagerly. Was there damage for the McLaren? Doesn't like it on the initial sort of moments for him. He's still able to negotiate a similar circuit with some ease, but Trocker is gaining on him. We have a bit of a send, I hope not. It's always risky to send one into the inside. And out we go now of the chicane, but it's going to be Erpig, who's got 2 more corners to negotiate. He's built that gap up very nicely. Round the final corner we go. And on to the pit straight is going to be the first win in the sprint race. First points have been dealt. Erpig from De Gilly, from Lars, from Ruta, from Packer, Rocco, Mark. Ezra rounding your point score is Felix 9th, Trocker 10th, XL Brie, Kvyat, Sneaky, Mamba comes home in 13th, promoted by 200 per second because of Sneaky's penalty. Stinios is 15th, Ian 16th, and then Jarno is P17. And he seems to be enjoying himself out on the Imola circuit, all to himself now, with the final car to finish. But it's Erpig who, takes the checker flag. He got pole. He's got sprint race pole, or whatever I can't remember what they call it. He's got fastest qualifier. He's got pole position. So once again, he will start from the front row of the grid. Very happy with himself inside the company. Wagner takes home driver of the day, making up the most positions. Yeah, hoist the trophy aloft. That is sort of part 1 done, if you like, for the guys at the front. A few people having some unfortunate spins. Felix's teammate, of course, for NRL. Lost a few positions right at the death after a good race from him. But the first points have been dealt. It was Erpig from Gilly, from Lars. That was your top 3. Ruta just missing out on that podium spot, if you like, and starting where he sort of qualified, if you like. So he'll start P4. Packer P5, staying where he was. Rocco up a place into P7. Mark up 2 into Rocco into P6. Mark up 2 into P7. Ezra up 2 into P8. Feely's doing the fusions. We saw that spin. We're on board with him when it happened. Trocker, I think he went down to P17 at one point. So fantastic drive from him to make his way through the field and sort of gained, a net gain of 3 come the end of it. XL Bree is 11th. He started 11th, and we're going through the rest of the grid. When we get out onto the circuit, we're also going to have a bit of a delay as things stand. Do we know the points for the sprints? That's a fantastic question. I believe the points are 8 down to 1. If you come first, you get 8. If you come 8th, you get 1. And it just works down like that. But I will check. I'll try and have a look. Probably should have had a look. I mean, I just remembered it was a sprint race, to be in all honesty. Before we got going, it was a bit worrying if I looked up and it was only 5 laps. Top 8 get points. Perfect. Thank you, Shabby. I was spot on. So yeah, 8 points for Erpic in that one. Haas getting a good point score there. 7 points. It's a little 7 points boost for them. Haas currently EVG are currently 7th in the championship. 11 points to their names. They've almost doubled their points tally in the sprint race alone. Fantastic drive. It was from... this is a much better page to be staring at while we just sort of sort out the grid. Yeah, EVG Gilly in the bottom left hand of your screen. 7 points for him. Great job there. But yeah, actually, exactly like EVG in the Haas, NRL in the McLaren. Currently on 21 points in a bit of a battle with DTR and CPI. Great result for them. I think they're going to have a good evening. Erbic seems unbeatable out front. And then we saw how much Gilly, he did get the lead at one point, but when he went for the lead on the final lap of the race, had 1% ERS. Really pushing, and well, Erbic just seems on a different level at the moment. 2.5 tenths out front. Can he translate that into a good result in the race proper? Definitely a question we will be asking during the race. Yeah, 32 laps ahead of us now. We've had the sprint race, we've had quali, we've had the sprint race. Good action so far, good close racing so far. We hope that continues. We'll talk about last week. Well, we can. Of course, we had 3 rounds so far. Saudi, Bahrain and Australia. Australia, it was a bit of a QVR domination in the end, wasn't it? It was Campbell on pole, and Campbell won the race. Good little buffer, if you like, in the end for him. Ruta, one of the guys, been up at the front so far this evening. He came P2 last week. Shabby for DTR, their strongest performance of the season, and he came in third. Then it was Ariel again for 4th. XL Breeze racing tonight in the Ferrari, came 5th. Good drive from him. Donkey down P6 last week. XL Gary, XL having another good point score. Ariel having another good point score. And I think that's what this championship's going to all be about. It's all well and good winning, but it's having 2 drivers up near the top that's going to really matter, just to get that points on as best as possible. So who else raced last week? Packer. Back again this week. P10 last week for him, hoping to improve on that one. Felix, actually, it was unfortunate he had that spin because he was up, he was in the decent point scoring positions. He came 12th last week and actually qualified P6, so he'll be hoping his race goes a little bit better this week around. And yeah, so yeah, actually we're going to get perfect timing as we sort of finished talking about last week. We're going to dive straight into this week because we're getting ready to go racing as we get all sorted. So thank you to Mamba and for sorting out his hosting tonight. He'll be the one that sorted out the grid. Did that very speedily indeed. What sport is this? It's F1 Esports, not the actual F1 Esports, but DTR Esports League. We've just had qualifying, we've just had a sprint race, and now we're ready to get into the race proper. The grid determined from the sprint race results. I'm looking forward to these. I mean, you almost don't want to jinx it, but then we've had 3 fantastic weeks on the trot. We've had close racing, 3 weeks on the trot, and the sun is shining here in Imola. Fantastic circuit. Has a bit of everything, doesn't it? It just, It's got high speed. Well, it seems to be everything's a high speed chicane. It's got the elevation change. It's got the history. It's got sort of. There's no room for error. There's no sort of silly tarmac runoffs. Well, it's a little bit of aqua minerale, but you probably need it for that corner. We saw, was it Magnussen was in the wet, spinning out. I remember I think it was Anthony Davidson during commentary really sort of ripped him for it. Probably not on purpose, but he did. Very difficult last year with the wet conditions. But it's going to be dry today. The drivers are just selecting strategy and fuel loads, making sure they put the setups back on the car. Hopefully no one forgets. Very, very easy to do though. And so of course, sprint quali means they can start the race on whatever tyre they want. There's no restrictions for that. We could see people on the hards if they wanted up at the front. But I've got a feeling we're going to see a mix of softs and mediums. As I can see, the Ferrari on the left-hand side of the screen is on the mediums. We'll see what tyres everybody is on. It's soft tyres for the top 5. Erpic. Oh, I flicked past him too quickly. Erpic from pole position. A familiar sight for him, and actually, the top 2 as they were in the sprint race. And so Erpic on the softs, Gilly on the softs as well. Lars softs for him as well. P3 made a position in the sprint race. Ruta P4 today on the softs as well. Packer P5 on softs, and the first on the medium runners. Exo Rocco going for the mediums, going for that alternative strategy, seeing how it plays out for him. Mark in P7 on the softs, and then it's double mediums for Ezra and Felix. Felix going the opposite way to his teammate, interestingly enough. Trucker P10 on soft, and it's Exo Brie, CBI Wagner, DTR Black Mamba, QVR Sneaky, and Stinos all on the soft combat tyres. Then it's mediums for Ian. I was about to say Jarry then, of course, not racing this evening. Ian, and then Jarno on the mediums, and Pyro on the softs. No Mercedes this evening, I'm not sure why, but there we go. 18 drivers ready to battle it out. Erpic leads the way. And who's on comms? Oh, it's me. Obviously it's me, but well, Ibini, let's go with that one. You may have seen some of the F2 stuff. Didn't have to run around Imola. That was quite good fun. But yeah, it's me. I race in the second division. I would talk about Wednesday, but I mean, well, I kind of crashed on the final straight when I was winning. I did cross the line, but well, the stewards will decide whether I get the win or not. Nevertheless, that was on Wednesday. We're here on Friday, and it's DTR Esports round number 4. My favourite circuit in the world, Imola, is absolutely awesome. And we're going to find out why. We've got 32 laps ahead of us. It's round 4 of the DTR Esports League. The title fight is hotting up already. And it's so unpredictable. It's going to be rapid. It's going to be quick. As we wait for the final few drivers to slot into position. We're ready to get the racing underway once again. As we just wait for the lights as the final car, Pyro, slots into his grid position. And we'll get the lights here. We have 3, 4 and 5 here in Imola. And it's lights out and away we go. Who's got the best of the start? Our front looks like Erpic's going to slot into first place. But Djili looks like he's going to be racing around the outside. Just behind, we've got Lars and Ruta dueling away. As on the inside is the Williams, who's going to hold position, I think, in the top 4. Maybe Usher is round the outside from Packer. Packer's had a fantastic start, making up 2 positions just behind them. Lars, just can he hold on ahead of Ruta? Ruta's going to go around the outside and she sort of gives him the position. Next 2 into 1 will not go. Packer, it's a fantastic start, up 2 places. Well, getting the job done. Felix finding a way past. That's Mark down the inside. That looked like it might have been a bit of a send. As getting a bit wayward on the exit there was Lars. He's lost a bit of ground with Rocco just behind. Ezra, is he trying to go down the inside of Felix? No way past at the moment. The 3 medium runners are 7th, 8th and 9th at the moment. Sneaky down. He's going to go around the outside, sorry, of Stinos. He'll get the position done and dusted as go down into Akram and O'Reilly. Moves up and down the field everywhere we go. And the top 2, you can see the front few there at the bottom of the screen slotting into position. We go into Variant's out for the first time. Ferrari going a little bit deep, but that's fine. He's going to get away with that one. Aston Martin trying to challenge on the exit. And Ezra losing position there to CPI Wagner. The soft runners really attacking the medium guys early on, as we might have expected. I think that's why a lot of guys opted for the softs, just to make sure they held position. They could be racy at the start. It's all well and good having the sort of the nicest strategy of like, but if you lose the positions, it's going to make life a little bit difficult for you. Any moves into turn one shaping up, Black Mamba could be trying to find a way past Ezra into turn one. Digitally up front, close the gap to 0.3 of a second. Mamba has a look, went that way past on this occasion. A few guys into the pit lane already damaged. Down the field, as we can see, front wings being changed. I think for everybody, yeah, they've just got a front wing out the way there. So 3 front wings, 3 changes of strategies, and I'll be hoping for a safety car or something similar. Epic still leads the way from Digili, and Packer not too far behind. All the gaps have been a second, bar the bottom 3. As we head down through Akmiller once more, it's actually getting very close at the back end of the field. Sneaky trying to make a move, and they're wheel banging down for P13, 14 and 15, but that's almost collecting. Sneaky, I'm not sure how it happened. I think maybe a little bit too much curve for him there, as the driver's expecting Baron's outer a little bit more on this occasion. DRS will be enabled at the end of this lap. Some of the gaps just drifting beyond a second as we're on board with Wagner. Well, as speaking of that, he's made his way past 2 of the medium runners. He's past Ezra, he's past Felix. Am I alright? Yeah. Got a bit of a cough. Hopefully you can't hear it. I'm trying to avoid you all hearing it. It's not COVID, don't worry. But it's absolutely fine. Nevertheless, back to the racing. Using a lot of ERS. Wagner he wants to make sure he's within second when we get sort of the activated DRS once more on the following lap. Mamba actually made up quite a few positions at the start of this one, as he is in P11 ahead of his teammate and looking to challenge the medium runners in front of Ezra and Felix. Bit of a lock up there. The smoke maybe putting off Mamba, but actually negotiates Tosa pretty well. Gets on the ERS, bit of a punch. She's saving quite a bit compared to others, as I've noticed down on the steering wheels. You can see the ERS bar sort of on the bottom of their steering wheels. Bama picks up the first 3-second time penalty of the evening. It's so easy. There's quite a few points on the lap. You can just drift a little bit wide. But a point on the track I do want. Oh, I love a helicopter cam. We're going to see down that move down the inside. Trocker had a thought about who's going to come on top of this one. It is the Ferrari. I love a helicopter shot. I say it every time, but I do love it. It just looks so cool. Right, now back to the front. The DRS is enabled. We're going to see it sort of engaged by Digili. Murphy again, he's really good at that final corner. It's going to make the gap sort of go up, but then the DRS will just bring it straight back down. Look at that, it was almost 0.8 per second. He's almost right on the back of the gearbox of the McLaren. The gap now 0.2 as they hit the brakes. And all good for the thing. What's happened to Mamba? Was attacking a bit wayward on the exit, so maybe just... Oh, and that's Tucker going around the wrong way. Can he get it? Oh, big hit against the wall. I hope he's got no damage. Spins it back around very nicely. And I guess going on again. Unfortunately, P15 for him, it is quite easy to lose it on the exit of the chicane. And the first gap over a second out of the front is Rocco. Just looking quite comfortable at the moment. No, he'll know he's going long. Hoping maybe for a safety car or similar later on that he can react to and sort of get a cheap pit stop potentially. But keeping him in touching distance, even on the, he's on the slower tyre. And yeah, so all good at the moment, apart from sort of the bottom 4 having a few mishaps, so nothing too major, which is always good. And you've generally had a clean race, some hard racing early on as well. Gaz actually not really closing on this lap, so he might have had a full boost of ERS on the previous lap to really reel in big down towards turn 1. But keeping him in DRS at the moment is going to be important, as Wagner goes down the inside of Rocco. That move for P7, and Wagner past all of the soft runners and trying to go around the outside. He's going to get the move done on the inside of the second part. I think his rival got pushed a little bit wide there, but actually, yeah, losing 2, maybe 3 positions as Sneaky and Felix. Bree and Sneaky, there we go. Sneaky snuck his way, but that was an atrocious use of wordplay. He tried, I'm not even going to bother trying anymore, but Chocker into pit lane, opting for something different, maybe did people with a bit of wing damage. I mean, the opportunity was there for the pun, and I just absolutely muddled it. But yeah, Bree and Sneaky both passed Felix on the exit of turn 1. I've lost position to Mamba. And yeah, as we head down towards Rivatsa, and the car's already out of Rivatsa. Erpik breaking the toe quite aggressively, coming out. Looks to really open up the lap. But this DRS still for his rivals behind. Packer will be closing in a little bit. He's only 4/10 behind Jill. Two REL boys, Linus Stern in P4 and P5. He only gets 3 seconds added to the end of his race, and Jilly's actually got it as well. Something we might have to note later on if the order relatively stays the same. Of course, no VSCs or safety cars. As things stand, just a few yellow flags for the marshals to wave. And head through Piratella and down the hill. That battling has caused a bit of a gap to form between the top 6 and the rest of the field. 3 seconds at the moment, but Ragnar is doing his best to reel that in. He's going to be pulling Rocco and Ezra Mamba and the co with him. Actually 8/10, 7/10 of a second now. Apologies again. But yeah, again, he's looked at the bottom of his steering wheel. He's on 14% ERS. He really is caning the ERS. And actually, if you compare to Erpik, Erpik's doing the exact same on 7%. But yeah, very good job from Erpik so far, holding position, if you will. But again, Jilly just behind. Actually, we'll get up his telemetry. I think it will be. I sort of like to keep it out of the shot. I quite like a clean sort of display as Excel Bree. Got ahead of Mamba there into turn number 1. And sneak his way past. I mean, it just doesn't sound right when I try to do it. But yeah, a lot of guys really using the ERS. And I think, well, it's like I was talking in the sprint race. You're going to start to see those red lights flashing on the back of the cars to show they're low on ERS. Literally, the whole field is low on ERS apart from Packer. But Packer's sort of in the box seat at the front, I'd say. Seems to have monster pace at the moment and not using the ERS, which could come into play. And Tajili actually outside of DRS range now from Erpik in front. Erpik has finally broken that 1 second. So he's going to get no DRS heading down towards turn 1. He's going to be a sitting duck, in my opinion, to Packer. Mamba picks up 3 more seconds. Will be added to the end of his race. Why is everyone? I don't know why I'm so aggressive on the ERS. And actually, Packer into the pit lane. He's pulling the undercut, which shocked me a little bit because the women are very much on for the move. Is Packer 2 stopping here? Seems a little bit early to go onto mediums. I actually want to have a look because I think it's going to be quite interesting. Is medium tyres for Packer? I think he's going to be 2 stopping. Has he found a gap? He's found a gap just behind Stinos and Pyro. So back to the racing action. Mamba not close enough to make a move on Bree that time around. And now this is very... Oh, I love Helicap. This will be very, very interesting for the strategy of this race. Because well, you would assume Packer's going to be the fastest car on the circuit. He probably will undercut Tajili. He might even undercut Erpik at this point. Will they react to him? Or will they just keep to their own strategy? I think 2 stop is what the game recommends, but 1 stop is very much doable around this circuit as we head into Varianta Alta, sort of clattering those curves through the chicane route. So I think we'll be close enough for the move on the delete. But yeah, everyone seems to have no ERS in this race. Will anyone react? Is going to get a reaction? No, everyone just ignoring. Actually, one of the Alpines going into pit lane. I think that's Mark. Mark and Lars both coming into the pits. And there comes Ruta round the outside, which comes the inside as we head into turn 1. The move is done and dusted before we hit the brakes. But yeah, sneaky into pit lane. Again, not again, but another one into the pit lane. So putting on the medium tyres. Just those 3 pitting at the moment. Whereabouts will they come out? In relation to Packer, he's heading down towards turn number 1 now. Comfortably ahead of Mark and Lars. When he hits the brakes, he'll be pushing this lap to try and make sure he gets the undercut on Ruta and Erpik. He's using his ERS now. He's saved up a little bit. Of course, behind them, we saw that a little bit earlier on. At about 60% at one point where we got rivals in front of him. Only had sort of 10. So be using that to advantage to reel in the gap. And Ruta now, he's got past Silly. He's hunting down Erpic. Erpic, another driver. Well, he's got none to use. I mean, I don't know why he got an overtake. He's just got it outside of a second. We've got a flag in sector 1. That's Yano out of the race. There he is behind us. Actually, that might play into the hands of Erpic and Ruta. Where we do have a safety car. They're all into the pit lane straight away. They're anticipating this safety car coming out. And we're going to get going underway anyway. There's no safety car. So going for the pit lane. And it's just a normal stop in the end. I think they all dived in the pit lane in anticipation. Where will Erpic's made his pit stop? Whereabouts will he come out in relation to Packer? The end of the the end of the pit lane, if you like, is actually quite far down the pit lane. Even though you've gone past all the garages. There is Packer. Will Packer take the race lead? Packer goes into turn 1 and he's ahead. He's ahead. Packer has taken the net race lead. Pulling the undercut to full effect. And I mean, that is exactly what the undercut's all about. Put on pit before your rivals. Use the new rubber to full advantage. And Packer makes up 2 positions in the pit stop phase. Sneaky just ahead of Bree as he just come out of the pit lane. As their battle still continues between those two. And Packer's got 6 seconds before he catches anyone that hasn't pitted. Yes, so Packer is our net race leader at the moment. I think literally the yellow flag came out. All the drivers would have seen there was a retirement down at turn 1, and everyone opted just to dive into the pit lane straight away in anticipation of a safety car, not wanting to get hung out to dry with any sort of new strategies that would have formed because of the safety car. Ezra though closing in on Rocco, and he's ahead of Rocco as they go into towards turn. I want to be reeling Ragnar once he slams on the brakes. I think Wagner's going for the old one stop here. I actually reckon Stino's Black Mamba and Wagner are going for the one stop here. I think to do. I'd one stop. I remember doing a race. Would have been DTR season 2. That's but yeah, I mean, I thought the 2 stop was the normal thing to do. Everyone on the 1 stop completely outdrove us for the most part of the race and were miles ahead. In honesty, you sort of want to do lap 12, I'd say. Yeah, lap 12, and then put the mediums to the end. It's very much doable. Sneaky just behind Bree, but losing a lot of pressure on his rival. Of course, Sneaky bits him 1 lap earlier to Bree. Did get the position, but Bree managed to get him back. Packer with a good calls at the moment. 6/10 still clear of Erpic, reeling in Stinos in front as he hits the curbs. Gaining a little bit on Erpic through there, but Erpic seems to get a better exit. Actually, Erpic, I think everybody's in a bit of ERS saving phase, and then that's one of the Aston Martins, one of the DTR cars, facing the wrong way, spins the car around. Yeah, the flags are out, but we don't have any safety cars. He's nicely out of the way, and will he be diving straight into the pit lane? Yes, he will. That might have just ruined his strategy a touch. I mean, actually, in all honesty, these guys could still go to the end on the mediums. Just maybe a little bit early. Yeah, good point, Joel. I sort of from lap 8, I think that's probably what he was doing, just trying to undercut. But yeah, mediums can definitely go to the end. Definitely be a little bit worn come the end of the race, but they definitely can do it. Wagner just making sure he's got a bit more tire life, maybe waiting for a safety car as well. So yeah, we'll see how this one plays out. Maybe if somebody pulls the trigger around sort of lap 18 or 18, 19, 20, dives in for a set of soft. We'll assume that, and actually, it's Black Mamba spun again down at turn number 1. So not going too often the Aston Martins. I'll be hoping for a safety car or something just to try and jumble this race up a little bit. There's the Alpine of Ruta still behind. Oh, Magnus got a 5-second penalty for getting the pit lane. It's always better to lose half a second and making sure you slow down and getting the 5-second penalty, but it shows how much these guys are pushing. He's trying to make his strategy work. Yeah, people gaining positions because of that. Pit lane is a bit close enough for a move. I don't think he will by the time he got on the brakes. Actually looking for a move, and everyone bunches up as we hit the brakes down the turn. One Packer seems to be relatively unfazed. But I've noticed Erpic might just be trying to rebuild that ERS he's got there. As they come out of Tosa and climb up the hill once more on that 13 or 32. Over third race system and not quite half. 2 Alpines still right at the front of this one, and could argue of course, Felix on a completely different strategy. It'll be interesting to see where these front 3 slot into the race once they make their pit stops in probably sort of 6 laps time. They'll be going for a set of softs. And just slamming the brakes. Still, it's Ezra from Rocco. Will we finally see a move? Oh, and it's into the wall. That's Lars. Somehow keeping in this race, but the front wing is damaged. He'll dive straight into the pit lane. And round the outside goes Erpic of Packer. This is going to have to be a good move if he can make it stick. Round the outside becomes the inside. He's onto the curbs. Actually, Packer's going to have a better exit. What's Rooter going to do in this one? Can't find a way past it. It's already 2 abreast. Erpic under pressure now as Packer's looking for the outside. Trying to go even more on the outside is Rooter. And that's where does he come from? Oh, off into the wall. He's out of the race. I don't even know where he came from. EVG Elite just sort of appeared on the inside there. He'd get the best run out of all of them. And has slingshot himself up the inside. Maybe a bit of a send. Still no safety car. That's surely as we've had 2 drivers crash into the wall and still no safety cars. But nevertheless, we carry on here. And yeah, the incident seems to be cleared. Race controller happy. And what a crazy couple of moments there as Packer defending on the inside. Erpic round the outside, which he got a little bit, got all over the curves, went in a little bit deep to the second part, got a poor exit, and that was Packer onto him. Of course, Rooter wasn't involved in that battle, so he got an even better exit. And I think just on the sort of back of all of that, got an even better exit. He was able to pick his way and sort of see what was happening. Rocco on Ezra, the closing speeds are going to increase, but there's no way past into turn at number 1. It was a bit of a send-us. We didn't really get the best angle of it. I'd like to see a different angle of it, but the hash just sort of appeared on the inside, and it was amazing how only one of them spun out in the end. But again, we didn't see the best of angles. I'm just still baffled that there wasn't a safety car for it. I mean, he was off and into the wall. Nevertheless, though, Packer's obviously lost net 3 positions. And has he got wing damage? I do apologise for my bit of a cold. Doing my best, but of course it's always difficult when you're talking for a long period of time. But no, we're on. Lanza's made a move on Mama. That seemed relatively easy down towards turn number 1. There's an Alfa Romeo of Pyro just behind as well. They've all pitted relatively recently, going to the end now of this race. Ezra still leads Rocco. Will Rocco get close on the turn 1? I think he just might not be close enough by the time we get on the brakes. Closing, you can see the delta on the top coming down more and more each time it changes, but no way through. At the moment, Erpic onto the main straight. Will we get any moves between our effective top 4? Wagner's just pitted relatively recently as well. Comes out in P8. Having a really, really strong race. Going long on the softs. I think it's paid off for him. Will he reap the rewards come at the end of it? Into the Villeneuve chicane we go. See the river in the background. Beautiful place as well in Italy. Beautiful part of the world. Imola is fantastic. Sort of. I think it's a park. It's a national park. There's a lovely, lovely greenery around. It's very, very old school, and it's just absolutely brilliant. Good bit of elevation change as well, and some proper corners, I'd say. Now these runoffs, but still, it's a very demanding circuit for the drivers, and they'll be feeling, maybe a bit physically drained by the end of this one if they're on a wheel, or I'm sure everyone will be mentally drained with 32 laps around the Imola circuit. Erpic slowly closing in on his teammate up the road. Still managing to save a fair bit of ERS, while keeping these 3 behind him. The two Alpines working together, you'd hope, probably in conversation as we speak. I imagine a lot of the teams will sort of be in party calls, be able to chat and work out strategies and things like that. So I'm sure there were something planned out to try see if they can improve their positions a little bit more. Rocco sliding, and that, well, we saw him slide. We saw him slide coming out of the Aqua Minerale there and just sliding, excuse me, a little bit too wide. Picking up his third and final warning. Ezra's breaking the tail a little bit there. Straight lines is breaking very nicely. The gap is 7 tenths. 7.5 tenths as we come out of the final corner. Final proper corner. I think this bit counts as a corner or something. Yeah, really hugging the wall there. Shortest line. And oh, and Ian's out. Ian's out of the race. Got a safety car. What's happened there to Ian? It's Aqua Minerale. Trying to spot where he is. There he is. He's lost it on the exit, unfortunately, here on the right side. But I saw them on the mini-map. Erpic, Ruta, Mark and Packer all into the pit lane. So we're going to get a bit of a mix-up here of strategies. Medium tyres for Erpic. Packer's only one that's gone softs. Excuse me. Packer the only one to go softs so far. Serving a penalty as Wagner. He's managed to get that one out of the way relatively cheaply, if you will. Brexel Breeze going soft tyres as well as everybody filters out. Out and into their pit boxes. Stenios going soft as well. I'd go softs if it was me. We've seen the soft can do 12 laps. Maybe we've already done 12 laps on the softs. We're going to get a few laps under the safety car now. Well, I mean, what would everyone else do? That'd be interesting to know. Yeah, what tyres would everyone opt for on Motor Corsium? I know everyone's going to have fresh softs, aren't they? Because it's a new... We've obviously in doing this format, you create a new lobby so everyone's tyres are reset. Everybody's got enough tyres to do whatever they want. And so, yeah, I would have gone softs. The front three, I'm sure, are going to be absolutely loving life. That's what we talked about a little bit earlier. The alternative strategy, guys. We're hoping for a safety car. Actually, this is perfect for them. They are going to be in dreamland. Ezra, Rocco and Felix. We talked about Felix maybe being a little bit out of touch to help out his teammate. He's probably going to be ahead of his teammate. He is. He will definitely be ahead of his teammate. Of course, the guys have got to run to a delta who are on circuit at the moment. The top three have pulled a blinder here. And if you can recall 2 weeks ago in Bahrain, round 2, the exact same thing happened. That was when we got a race winner that day. And you'll never guess who it was. Because I can remember exactly who it was. It's Rocco. He's the king of the alternative strategy. He won 2 weeks ago with the exact, a pretty much carbon copy of what we've got here. The safety car was perfect time for him on the alternative strategy. And the Ferrari driver finds himself. He was in P2 before the safety car. It was a race P2. He's now in a net P2. He's in a theoretical net P2. Absolutely fantastic. Felix. Well, Packer's managed to get past Mark. Because, of course, double stacking down at Alpine means his pit stop's a little bit slow. So you've got up at the front now. We've got a proper fight: the NRL team versus the REL team. Both drivers of the team will be up at the front, giving it everything for their respective outfits. That'll be good to see. For you guys, unfortunately, not having the best of races, we were to close back in as well. So am I guessing we'll be getting going racing again on the next lap. Yeah, that is a good result for the race. I think for the race, a good result, especially for the top three, who are on soft tyres. I think will have the pace, especially early on. We're seeing a bit of fuel burning here from Felix. So maybe he's gone a little bit. Of course, safety cars really do help if you're a little bit lean on fuel, but if you're spot on and planning to perfection, it just gives you a bit too much fuel on board. And interesting to see Felix dealing with it how he is. And yeah, we're going to safety car for one more lap. Of course, the old spec safety car, the old spec Merc safety car, we've got the new GT Black Series, which we'll get on the 2022 game, coming out whenever it comes out. But yeah, let's see who the big one is. Everybody, the race is effectively neutralised at this point. This is our new race. There's no sort of who's on this strategy, who's on that strategy. And again, it's the top three. Up 7, up 4, up 6. You guys who are at the front losing out a little bit there. Wagner's up 4, having a good drive. There's 3 for Sneaky. Sneaky's Pirates up 4 as well. So a lot of people having some very good drives up and down the field. Get the tyres up there just so we know who's on softs, who's on mediums for the final. It's going to be probably 12 lap once we go race. We will get racing this lap. It's not confirmed, but I can almost confirm it for you. And yeah, 3rd and 4th for NRL, 5th and 7th REL. XL was 2nd and 9th. At the moment, we can briefly have a look at the championship standings with 12 laps left. So as things stand, it's REL leading away from XL. REL, well, in a position to have a good final points outcome. Currently 5th and 7th, but they'll be wanting more from this evening. Of course, DRA as well. Currently down in 10th in the championship, only 4 points to their name. They're currently leading it, leading the race. So, wow, they're going to be timesing their points by 5 as things stand. So, fantastic job from Every. He's run a pretty solid race, and he finds himself at the front of the field. He's the net safety car now, as we're looking to get racing once more. Making sure that everyone's tyres are nicely warmed up. When will he decide to go? It's a long run down towards turn number 1. When's he going to go? Bit of a burst. He still hasn't gone. He has gone now. We're racing once more here. We're 12 laps left of this. San Marino. Let's go San Marino. San Marino Grand Prix. And putting on the pressure just behind. It's the 2 McLarens, Felix and Erpig. Felix has seen that Ferrari for most of this race. We get any moves down into turn 1. It doesn't look like just on this occasion as we hit the brakes once more. And Ezra leads away from Rocco, from Felix, from Erpig. And then it comes Ruta, Packer, Mark, Wagner, Bree and Lars round out your top 10. No moves at the moment. A bit of a lock-up just further up the road. There's Packer found a way past Ruta. That seems to be down the inside. He's going to squeeze him a little bit. Almost. Both of them ended up in the wall. He's going to stay around status quo, though. Well, relative status quo. Of course, Packer has made the move. He's up in a P5 now. Ruta down into P6. And Mark really put on the pressure, but of course, I think there's a bit of team play there. He sort of recognised his teammate was under a bit of distress and didn't opt to pounce on that position. And what's happened to Stinos? Facing the wrong way. Aquaman right. Not ideal for him. Promotes a few guys at the back. Sneaky almost sneaking into the points. Finally made the pun work. He's now P11, just behind Lars. So QVR working their way up the field. One driver doing that is Packer. Behind Erpig, there's a bit of a gap in front of Erpig to his teammate. Of course, Erpig's the only one in the top 5 on mediums. As ahead goes Bree of Wagner. As they slam on the brakes, the Ferrari is ahead of the Alfa Romeo. I think we're starting to see these early phases, the guys on the softs reaping the rewards. Packer all over the back of Erpig, and we've seen throughout this race they've been so nothing to separate them. And yeah, the guys on the mediums struggling a little bit in these early phases. Lars will have the oldest tyres by the time we get to the end of this race. He's currently got 7 laps on them, 10 laps left to go once we get to the line. Barrow putting pressure on Trocker down just outside the points as well. I think creeping for Erpig here, he's keeping well within a second of his teammate and co in front. So nothing too alarming for him at the moment. We'll be getting DRS for someone who might have to start worrying. His Marcus has changed positions. Coming down Pyro ahead of Trocker. DRS is now enabled, so we'll get it at the end of the end of this lap. Of course, the activation point is, and there only been 1 DRS, and we don't actually get it on the lap. Sort of it says it's into turn 1 on the following lap. Ezra still leads the way, 6/10 of a second, keeping, well, actually sort of protecting his ERS pretty well. Ruta on 5% for a moment there, but yeah, Ezra quite happy out front, 76%. It's head down. What's happened down here? NRL and Packer. NRL's made a mistake. Packer's gone down the inside, I think, or maybe around the outside. And he gets ahead. Bit of an opportunistic move there from Packer. As he's getting his head down, he wants the position, so Packer wants the win. There's no mucking about from Packer. Of course, his teammate Campbell won from pole last week. Sneaky picks up a 3-second time penalty. Packer's team won from pole last week. QVR want to keep up their winning streak. They want to put the pressure on REL and XL. Of course, if Packer can get ahead of Rocco, that'd be a huge result. With Sneaky just as other points at the moment, but that might be getting even worse because down the inside's gone Pyro. Try and hold this one around the outside, and Sneaky losing a position here. Rocco's going to be putting on the pressure. But up at the front, putting on the pressure is Rocco. He's going to go maybe for the inside. Late on the brakes, there was Ezra. Just about manages to hold on. He's still saving his ERS pretty well. It's the Red Bull man. Was racing for DR8. Further back, so couldn't quite find a way past Sneaky. Or Sneaky has DRS to defend from Pyro in front of him. Pyro went down the inside. Bit of a send it looked like, but well, clean enough, I'd say. Lockups. Seem to be lockup city at Tosa at the moment. People struggling and almost struggling a bit too much there was Trucker. But did absolutely fantastic to hold on to the car. Somehow up at the front though, Ezra still leads from Rocker. And then comes Felix, Packer, Erpic. Was a driver front pole. One of the best laps I've ever seen around Imola. It was a joy. We got to watch all of it during qualifying. If you haven't seen it, go back to qualifying. It was a brilliant lap, and by the time he hits the brakes, he's on 5% ERS, so struggling a little bit in the deployment. Look how much he's got. I mean, how is Ezra doing this? He's saving so much because he knows that Rocco behind. But if he canes it too much, he will be a sitting duck as we get down to turn number 1. He's barely used any, and he's still ahead. He's brilliant from Ezra. XL Bree and Mark swapping places. That's Cruise of the Champion. XL getting ahead of REL. And he's got a flag facing the wrong way. Is XL Bree, and that's not what he wants for the championship. Drops down to P14. What's happened to Pyro? Pyro's onto the grass. Somehow it's all kicking off for the Ferrari-powered cars. Promotes a few drivers up. He smashes the polystyrene bollard. And he's down to P14. P15 for Bree after that little spin. Just as I was bigging up the battle between XL and REL, unfortunate for him. Bit of a commentator's curse there, but Ezra leads the way still. Looking pretty happy up front. 7 laps to go. And he's just doing what he needs to do. Not too worried about getting the gap over a second. And the front 3, who we sort of dubbed as the alternative strategy kings, if you like. The safety car came out at the exact perfect time for them. They inherited the lead, I think it's fair to say. But are doing an absolute mega job to keep hold of it. I think it seems like the soft tyres are the tyres to go for, and we get onto the brakes once more. And Rocco's pushing that Red Bull around the first few corners. He's not even used his ERS. He's still up at high 60s, 70%. Wagner and Lars duking it out, and Lars gets ahead for P7 now because a bit of a gap formed. Like that's the gap the XL used to be in. And Pirate is into the pit. I think he's putting on another set of softs. Epic just getting out of touch with the guys in front. He's lost DRS at the moment. And of course our pole sits up, opting for the medium tyres at the end. I think softs were the ones to go for, but nevertheless, when we get to the end of the race, the advantage could swing the way of the medium guys. We'll have to keep an eye on that one when we get there. Of course, still 6 laps to go now. Packer's having a look to the inside, no way through. You've got to have a massive send to get through from that far back, especially to that corner. But yeah, Trucker picks up 3 seconds a little bit further back. Packer behind this duel, and do you know what? I'd say the favourite has got to be Ezra. I mean, he's doing everything spot on. We got bored with Rocco. He's closing in. He's not even opting for the slipstream. Might got through if he found a slipstream. Maybe he doesn't want to get through. I don't know. There's some Mamba swap positions. That seems to be out of the final corner. Sneeze does have DRS as well. And Lars and Wagner swap positions once more. Wagner's actually lost 2 positions Dario Mark as well. 5 laps left now. And this race is just sort of, it's bubbling a little bit. I feel we're going to get a bit of a crescendo, a bit of a finale, if you will. But if Ezra needs it, he's got the ERS to defend. And he's just, I don't see how he can be beat. He just seems so cool out front. I'm sure he's not cool. He's leading an esports race. It can't be cool in the cockpit. I imagine it's a little bit stressful, especially around Imola. One of the hardest circuits, and it's probably one of the most enjoyable, but still it's such a challenge. These curves, demanding corners, don't want to run too wide and pick up a penalty. And penalties have to come into play. Exo Rocco, as things stands, will be P5 by my rough maths. Mark and Lars. Lars has lost 2 positions. Seems to have had a poor chicane. Back to the front. Packer's on the attack. Is he get close enough for a move? I don't think he is. Is XL Rocco get close enough for a move? Not quite. If he flicks the inside, he might find a way through. No, not on this occasion. Packer stays where he was. Someone who is not going to stay where he was is Wagon going to go around the outside. He is. We're going to get 2 cars around the outside. And where on earth is he going? Where he's going, he doesn't need roads. I mean, that was he gets a penalty for cutting a corner. And Lars somehow is in P10 still. They just flew past the screen there. Might have been squeezed deliberately. They were trying to make it 2 cars. It was trying to be a double overtake. Sorry, no. He was trying to join in on the battle. I'm trying to get the words out. But yeah, not quite losing 2 positions there was Mark. Mark just losing the 1. Last not able to get through as well. Taking evasive action. I think it's fair to say. Have a look at penalties as well. So a few guys on 6, a few on 9, most on 3. Some guys will be losing out big time. Come the end of this one. Let's go on board with Rocco. Gets a decent exit. Ezra does the same. Using this esports line I talked about during qualifying. Looks like they're diving his pit lane, but not quite. He's getting closer though. This is probably the closest he's been in the wheel tracks. He's going to go to the outside. Can he make the move stick? Just about. That's a good move there. Actually losing 2 positions is Ezra. Under a bit of pressure now, feeling the need to use the ERS. We know Felix doesn't have a lot of ERS available to him. Oh no! Ezra is into the wall. Ezra's out of the race. 3 laps left to go. That's gutting for Ezra. 2 into 1 does not go. The safety car has been called out. That's a big off, and it's gutting. Ezra was in such a good position. We've got a bit of a collision further back. Oh, I'm gutted for him. The DR18 could have used so many points today, but it's a double retirement in the end. And Yahar goes out. He was a fantastic drive. I feel like he'd almost got the mentality of, yeah, I can lose 1 position, I'll get it back on the next lap. I've got loads of ERS. He was in the prime spot to win. Yeah, you do have to argue that. We saw it earlier in the race with EVG to Gilly. It's not a place to put a wheel up the inside, is it? I know he wants to get the position back. We know he had the ERS advantage. He was gaining in a straight line, but it's just a little bit silly, I think. So we'll get behind the safety car. The safety car will come in the end of this lap. I've had it before in a race when we only had 1 lap left because of when the safe come out and when the leader picked it up. But we'll get going into this race. Sneaky's into the pits. I'll be honest, if you were in a decent position, I would not have pitted. He's got a new front wing though, so maybe just a bit of damage and serving a penalty actually. Clever. Credit Sneaky using this period as he's got to make sure he catches up to the back though. Yeah, I don't know. Ezra was in such a good position. Everything had gone perfect for him until that point. He lost the place. If he'd known, he should have put the ERS on. He would have had defended the position easily. We're talking about that, having so much ERS available to him. He's in such a luxury position. However, 2 laps left, by my reckoning. Rocco's got a bit of work to do here. He's got a 3-second penalty. So Felix is your net race leader. After a spin right at the end of the sprint race, lost a few positions. How many places is he up? He started down in P9, and Felix at the moment is your effective race leader in my calculations with penalties and whatnot. Packer in a NILR sandwich. We're going to have a 2-lap race to decide the final order. NRL 2 cars in the top 10. REL 2 cars in the top 10. XL just outside of that as well. So crucial for the championship these last couple laps. And when will XL Rocco decide to go? He knows what he has to do. His goal will be podium. Giving it absolutely everything. Is he gone? Oh, the rear's getting all sorts of snappy. He's going to back off, I think. No, he's gone. He has gone. Rocco's going to be he's going to be under full attack down towards turn number 1. Felix going for the move here. Ducks back in for the slipstream. And we now look to the outside, which becomes the inside. Has he got the legs? Who's got less downforce? It seems Packer behind is going to have the best hit in the house for this duel into turn 1, but it's still, as we were, further back. Mark goes down the inside of Wagner. Canella Lars get ahead, not quite. Trocker wants to get involved on this battle too, further back up at the front. Packer still leads Erpic, but he's not where he wants to be. He wants to be ahead of the McLaren, because as things stand, Rocco will drop. We're actually going to change this so we know where he drops back to. Rocco at the moment is dropped down to P8, make that P6 as a duel, because looks like Lars is getting out. Oh, Lars lost a few positions. Trocker's up to P. Oh, he's at the back of him. Maybe going a little bit deep, maybe missing his braking point in touch there. Stenios gets ahead of the Williams just about. Mam's not far off him as well. Mam are getting 3 more seconds. He's on 12 now. Yeah, as we come down to we're going to have no DRS at all. No DRS involved in this restart period, and we haven't got enough time for DRS. So it's all going to be pure racing, going to do the classic way at a classic circuit that is Imola. It's a long straight. Who can just come out on top? Rocco still leads the way. He now will drop down to P6. As things stand, he's got to be full attack, hoping people behind battle quite hard. Felix, we're on the final lap of this race. I thought I'd missed that as well. Final lap of the race. Rocco still leads the way from Felix. Felix will be your race winner as things stand. Be a fantastic result for him. NRL didn't score last week. Was both 2 drivers DNF, Felix being one of them, and he's now looking at potentially the top step of the podium here at Imola. His teammate, well, it's going to be double podium as things stand. Black Mama's found a way past Stenios, and they're still dueling away, and well, looks like somebody's won out of that one. It's Stenios as things stand as we climb up the hill just behind. Sneaky's trying to sneak past 2. Again, I'm working on this little pun. He's going to get a bit of an up and under, and it's a good extra Sneaky. He sneaks through into P10. It's working for me. And Root just found a way past Erpic. Up the hill, Erpic's going to keep the nose in, and not. Oh, he's got a 3 second. Oh no! Is there a worse time to get a 3 second time penalty? I don't think there is. Rocco will be your on-track winner. If he can negotiate the final 2 corners, he will win the race on the track. He's still going to drop down to P6 by my reckonings. Felix will take P2. He's your winner. He knows he's your winner. He doesn't do what I did, and he keeps it on the straight and narrow. On the final straight, Felix wins from Packer from Ruta. It's 3rd and 4th for REO Roxo. Erpic avoided that penalty, costing him a few positions. He's in 6th, and we finish off the order. And gutting for Erpic. Probably would. I think he would have been P3 if it wasn't for that final penalty. Felix gets your driver of the day, and rightly so. He takes to the top step, making the alternative strategy work for him. Unintentionally, I wrote him off earlier. And look at him, the alternative strategy playing king, and takes to the top step. Solid evening for NRL, and they're really going to be challenging at the top of the standings. Currently P6 as things stand. I think they've got a better point. Actually, they do have a bit. They've got 21 points at the moment. They've got 25 in just one driver. Brilliant stuff from NRL this evening. Sort of running the night in qualifying and the race, taking pole, sprint race win, and the win tonight. Unfortunately, Erpic losing outright at the end. He would have been just behind Wutu. He would have been P4, so it's a few more points for him there. But yeah, all credit to the top 4. Mark making up some good places late on as well. To get for full credit to the top 4, no penalties, and I mean it just shows the guys with no penalties up at the front. So yeah, up outside the top 6, you've got Wagner P7, good drive from him, up from 12th. Troco debut for DTR, getting a few more points in the bag. That's 4 for the DTR team. Stenios 9th, Pyro rounds out your point scorers in 10th, and your other finished are XL Bree. BN LRE Lars, Sneaky, Mamba, and unfortunately Ezra. Oh, it was gutting for him. It was looking so perfect, and unfortunately P15 and out of the race. Then Ian, usually, and Yano, also your non-points finishers. And that is round 4 at Imola. I hope you all enjoyed, just like I have. And we turn our attention briefly to next Friday night, because that's of course when the next esports race is, where we will be in Paul Ricard. Of course not the most entertaining of real life races, but it always brings up a bit of drama with strategy and some strong racing, I think it's fair to say, and we're going to see, I'm sure, a little bit more of that next week. But, you know, if you want to get back to the racing action before next Friday, we've got the DTR Season 3 racing here at Imola, so you'll see exactly what you've seen tonight with our divisions 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. I'll be D2 on Wednesday night, but of course we've got D1 on Tuesday. So it's Tuesday to Thursday, 8 o'clock once again if you're in the UK, or whatever your equivalent time zone is. Yeah, we're going to see, so make sure to check that out during the week. Around Imola with the sprint race as well. I'll be on Wednesday. Hopefully I can avoid spinning on the final straight again, but we'll see. That was shocking. I mean, if you want to see something really bad, look at the end of the D2 race in Australia. Yeah, it was pretty shocking for myself, but we'll see if I'm allowed to keep the win. Nevertheless, though, make sure you check out this week. We'll be racing at Imola in the main DTR leagues, and if not, same time next week. Paul Ricard will be no sprint race. We're going to have our next sprint race in Austria on the 13th of May. I've been Emily, I've been Ben. I will see everybody, hopefully a few more people, next week for another esports race. So thanks for watching. Ciao, adios. Don't any more goodbyes. So goodbye.